There are like a zillion supernatural shows out there. What sets Ghost Stories apart, especially for horror fans?
Good question. I think what sets Ghost Wars apart is that we're very intentionally looking at what those other shows are doing and sort of saying structurally we don't want to be that way. Story-wise, we don't want to be that way. Ghost Wars is very much about ghosts. It's not going to have werewolves showing up or vampires. It's not going to be like, True Blood or Bitten or, Supernatural where, they all sort of become, like the X-Files was that way. It was like one week it's aliens, next week it's Bigfoot, the next week after that it's, the Fluke Man kind of thing. It was always like this, sort of melting pot of paranormal genre. So for starters, we're staying in the ghost realm. And, when you do that, you have to figure out how can you make each episode unique. Because it would be very easy for it to be like, oh, another ghost, we just do this. That's the Walking Dead kind of issue where, 7 seasons in, those guys know how to kill zombies, so it's not really a threat to them. So we had to figure out how could the zombies, how could the ghosts stay a threat to the people at all times. And that made us realize that ghost stories are very personal, very intimate events. So, structurally, it's kind of like a combination of a serialized show and an anthology series because each episode has a very unique individualized ghost story that gets sort of traveled through and completed, and those events feed into that character's attitude as they go forward through the bigger problem of the series, which is we got motherfucking ghosts.
What were some of the properties that you saw as a kid that really influenced you in terms of genre fare?
Oh God, what didn't? I saw children shouldn't play with dead things when I was like 6 because my cousin showed it to me when he shouldn't have, and I was kind of hooked on horror movies from that point. A lot of the stuff from the 70s and 80s plays a big part just in general in my life. Like, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead is why I wrote Fido. David Cronenberg's The Fly, like all the Cronenberg films. John Carpenter's movies, like, Fulci, like the whole thing with the maggots in the trailer was a Fulci moment for me. Like, I was like, let's do something with maggots, and they just fall on something and fucking gross. So, and it's like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, it's kind of like there's a, I've sort of developed not just a love but a language of them over the years. So it's kind of like this movie this series is it's a collection of all that sort of diverse imagery for me.
Heard from the other actors, but Kim Coates is a really big presence in the shows he does. So what was like having him as part of the show?
Kim's fantastic to work with. He was like, when he came in, he really brought a voice to Billy that even we hadn't thought about that character having. And he's the kind of actor that wants to work with you to develop that voice. I think because of that, he ends up getting, like, as you saw in the trailer, he gets some, just amazing moments because he's sort of the, in some ways he's become the default human equation of the series and sort of like constantly feeling about, there's this thing happening, but what's that mean for everybody in town? In a lot of ways, he becomes the filter for it.
When you're writing the story, how do you find that right blend between those like shocking, like scary moments versus just the actual story itself of what's going on with the characters?
Well, it's kind of like, in a sense, it's almost like we're trying to build to those moments, because that's where we want the stories to be living. So when we're breaking the story, we're very much, in a way, kind of, trying to build to the scare, because that's what we want, the series to be known for. So, I used to joke. I joked at the beginning of the series, and I don't think Simon liked this, but I used to joke it was like writing porn, where it's like, okay, so he walks in and he gets scared, and then she shows up, they scare the shit out of her, and then they show up, they get scared this way, and then we, end the episode.
You said there's going to be different ghost stories throughout it, or any of them, was the spark ever made from a real life experience you had, or?
None of it. I mean, there's been a couple of real life experiences. There was a particular one when I was a kid where I'm pretty certain I saw a ghost while I was camping. But in terms of the actual episodes themselves, they really come more from who our character is and what kind of secret they have. Because that's one of the things that our ghosts like to do in the series, is they like to draw out the things that you're trying to keep buried and hidden and use that against you.
So is the sort of sparking event that sort of unleashes all these ghosts, is that part of the mystery that they're trying to solve, or is that just sort of, you just leave it as a mystery, like no one's quite sure what happened or why there's sort of this
I think by the end of the season, everybody's got their own opinion about what happened, and that's for me what's so interesting about it, is there isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer. For me, it's very much a horror series, and at the end of the day, the thing that makes horror work for me is the absence of explanation. So I've pushed very much whenever I'm in the room with Simon to sort of stay away from something that we can lock onto as being like, this is what happened and why. Because when you sort of make the unknown known, you've given it a quantification that allows you to fight it. I always want there to be a thing of, you think you know the answer, but you don't. And so, as much as, they think they're coming to a conclusion, I'm always, undermining that, sometimes without telling Simon that I've changed the line of dialogue. So, and then he gets into pose, he's like, why the fuck are they saying that? I'm like, actors didn't want to see it on the day, we should just keep it scary.
Influenced how you approach writing character voices at all?
Definitely. When you're writing, one of the best things that happens when you're developing a show and writing is you find out who the cast is going to be, because then those voices start to solidify. Meatloaf as Doug is a great example of that. We knew we had Meatloaf pretty early in the process, so we were able to sort of write his voice like from day one, kind of right through. Some of the other characters didn't get talent cast for them until closer to the time that we started to shoot, and those voices were still a little loosey-goosey, right? And then once you start to see, when you see Vincent D'Onofrio doing Father Dan, it's like, oh, that's what Father Dan sounds like. So now I have to go back in and change a lot of dialogue. And it can be, it can be as simple as, this character should never ask a question, right? Like you want to go back in and make sure that character only talks in statements.
Is there something about Vincent D'Onofrio that says he never asks a question?
No, well, it's actually Kim Coates' character is that way. Yeah, whenever I do a pass on a script for Billy's voice, I take out anything that's a question, because I don't want him asking questions. I want him commenting. It's like, because of who that character is, you want him to almost be like the color commentator of the show.
I just want to ask real quick, when you went about making the mythology of the ghosts, like how they work, what did you pull from, and why did you choose those sources?
We went from everything from personal stories, what we remember from movies, what we've read in books. We had one writer in the room who is as Simon said, she's quite possibly a witch. That's how deep her interest goes in the paranormal and in Wicca. And it was kind of like we needed to construct a creature for our mythology that would be able to address those sort of 4 different quadrants of religion, magic, skepticism, and oh God, what's the 4th one now? I've been saying this all day and now I've forgotten it. Religion, magic, skepticism. What's that?
Science?
Science, thank you. Yes, Landis's character, the one I can't remember. Don't tell Candace. And so it sort of became like a sort of a fusion of a lot of different things to create something that would run through all of those elements for us for the season. All right.
The problem with new shows.
Yeah.
Now I know what it's about.
What are you most excited for us to see when the show premieres?
The gore effects are going to be awesome. So I'm excited about that. I think really though it's the fact that structurally it's the I'm really excited about the combination of anthology with serialized art because I've never seen that. I can't think of a show that was like that. And of course now that I've said that you'll all go, oh, it's this kind of show. So.
Are the anthology elements heavily dependent on guest stars?
No, it's very much an ensemble cast. So characters who seem like they're only maybe in episode 2 as a supporting character, you'll discover in episode 7 have a very big story. And then by episode 11, it's like that's their special episode.
And with those serialized elements, the fact that you were able to write 20 scripts before we started.
Oh, hi.
Is there anything that you can hint that we should be looking for in season 1 as a hint that something we should be paying attention to that'll pay off later?
Oh man. Yeah, keep an eye on the bartender.
Bartender.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
So great.